Hello! My name is Jonah from DFLProds, and this is going to be the first of a series of video guides about everything you need to know in every game you want to know it about. I am a very avid gamer, as in I game a lot, and when I game I like to do everything I can in every game I can. So I thought, okay, well, you do a lot of things in games, and you like doing a lot of things in games, and let's face it, you're not the worst at games, are you? Because I've got a very long-term experience in doing games. So I thought, okay, what can you do? I'm going to do some guides. And you know what I'm going to put in the guides? Everything. So I'm going to start off with Shaman, as this was my World of Warcraft main for a very long time. So I dusted off the old Shaman, and I looked at him, and I said, you need to be put out to the world, and that's what I'm going to do now. So the first part of my guide is going to be Shaman, and the spec is going to be Restoration. And I will be doing a lot of videos, a lot of guides on different things in PvE and PvP and World of Warcraft and other games and whatever you want to feel like seeing. So I'm going to start off with Restoration Shaman right here, and I hope you enjoy it. First things first, what exactly is a Resto Shaman and what does he do? Now, to most of you, this probably may seem like the stupidest question to ask, like, but everybody knows what a Resto Shaman is. It's like really obvious. He's a healer. Yeah, he's a healer. But what kind of healer? Most healers can be split into categories. While this isn't as possible nowadays as it was maybe back in Wrath of the Lich King or in Burning Crusade, there still is general categories of what healers do what. Now, while a paladin might focus a lot on single target healing, unless they have 4-piece and like overpower the Hoodie Raelians and like blah blah, a shaman is a very versatile healer. With the different spells and specs he has to his disposal, he can either do very much single target healing, very high single target healing, great spot healing, which I will cover later, and good AoE healing as well. So, because a Resto Shaman is this versatile, he is a must-have in any 25-man guild that wants to take anything seriously, and a really good addition to 10-man guilds. Not only does he have this versatile set of tools at his disposal that allow him to be a great tank, a great AoE, and a great spot healer, but he also supports others so much with his totems, with his spirit link, with his CC, with his Manatide. Trust me, every healer ever will love you for Manatide. I speak from experience. I love playing with Resto Shamans myself. Manatide is awesome. I love Manatide. The reason I play Resto Shaman is basically Manatide nowadays. So, to sum it up, Resto Shaman's versatile healer. Versatile healer means a lot of tools at disposal. Versatile healer also means a Resto Shaman can be very difficult to play, but I will go into gameplay, into actual like strategies for healing and stuff in a different guide. This is more basic. This will give you the basics that you need to get started as a Restoration Shaman, to get into raiding, to go, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Oh wait, I don't, but at least I know the basics of what I'm doing, and I can teach this to myself. This is the rest. So, the next thing I obviously want to cover is your stat priorities when you're playing Resto. Number one is Intellect. What Intellect does is give you extra mana, extra spell power, and extra spell crit. After that, you want to get Spirit. Spirit basically is flat out mana regeneration increase, so the more Spirit you have, the faster your mana goes up, and the better the Manatide is for the rest of your raid. After that, we go for haste until about 1000 haste, at what point the other stats come in way more handy. And at about 1000 haste, our Riptide has an extra tick, and our cast times are relatively low, so that's good. And after you've got 1000 haste, you want to go for Mastery, because our Mastery is so good, as it does. The lower your target's HP is, the higher your heals are. So, if you heal for, I don't know, random numbers pulled out of the top of my head, 60,000 on a top target, you'll heal for like 120 if he's like on low HP. And because how Dragon Soul mechanics work, Mastery is very strong this tier. As when you're raiding heroic modes, which most of the people will be getting into right now with the buffs rolling in, it should be pretty reasonable to go for a lot of Mastery, as people drop down very low in heroic modes. And after that, you go for some crit. Crit increases the chance that our spells will critically hit, meaning we'll heal for twice as much and as we normally would. And along with that, fucked it up on the last stat. As I don't have a lot of time in this video, I'm going to quickly mention how to gem and enchant as well. Basically, it's really easy if you're playing Restoration and PvE, because what you want to do is, if you've got a red gem, you go for basic intellect, either the epic ones or the blue ones. It doesn't really make that much of a difference unless you're in heroic modes. So in red slots you put 40 intellect, which is the brilliant Inferno Rupee, and in yellow gems you put intellect and haste, or intellect and mastery, depending on what stat you're going for. In any other slot, you won't find a lot of other slots in Dragon Soul on your gear. Basically, any slot you'll find in Dragon Soul on male intellect gear will be red or yellow. So go for the brilliant one with 40 intellect, and the ones with 20 intellect and 20 haste, or 20 intellect and 20 mastery on the other ones. Okay, as I obviously have to cover talent specs as well, I will do this in a bit of a different way. I'm not going to go through talent by talent and explain what to do in every talent and how to use them ideally, because it's pretty self-explanatory and it doesn't affect what you do as much, specifically how you talent. There are two main talent specs for Restoration. Well, there's a lot of talent specs, but there's two main ones that I normally use. For the point of this video, I'm going to call them Spec 1 and Spec 2. And I will link both these videos in the description below, both these specs in the description below. And you will have to go and look at them. But one of them is the one I've got open right here. It's 1733. And this talent spec, basically, it's used for spot healing, which means quickly topping off people that are low, or tank healing. It's more of a single target healing spec, but you can obviously also use it for AoE. It's not bad for AoE, it's just I optimized this for quick single target heals. And the main talents you have to look out for is Ancestral Swiftness, which just means your Ghost Wolf is instant, which gives you a hell of a lot of mobility in raiding. Spirit Link, which not all talents have, believe it or not, which you use for like high AoE damage phases in Dragon Soul. And Focused Insight. Now, Focused Insight is the only talent I'm going to be covering in depth. What it basically does is increases the effectiveness of your next heal after you cast a shock spell. So for instance, if I heal myself now with Riptide for 6,000, I can cast a shock on this guy right here, and next Riptide I do will be 8,000. So basically when you want to use this talent specifically is when there's like big damage incoming on your target, on your main target you're healing, for instance your tank, and let's say you know he's going to spike below like 40%. What you do is in advance, you stop casting whatever you do, then you target the boss, hit the shock spell, target your tank, and then use a greater healing wave. That way, you're going to heal your tank, or whoever target you're healing at that point, for a lot more. Similarly to how Unleashed Element works, you don't want to use this on cooldown, as it will be a healing per second loss, but you only want to use it when you get the full effectiveness. So, for instance, when Warlord Zanaz casts his beam thing on the main target, it does a lot of damage, and you know it's coming. So you can like look at your Deadly Boss Mods timer, and you hit the Flame Shock or Earth Shock or whatever shock you want to use, and then you top them off really quickly. Now, as far as I know, you can stack this with Unleash Elements. For instance, I healed 6,000 before with Riptide. I'm going to use Unleash Elements, and then my Shock, and then I will heal myself for 10,000 with Riptide. So if it's a really big hit, you hit Unleash Elements, you hit your Shock, and then you hit Greater Healing Wave, and you will heal for a buttload that I can guarantee. Also, this talent spec has Tidal Waves, which not everything has. And Tidal Waves means your cast time on Healing Wave and Greater Healing Wave is reduced after you cast Riptide, and it, I think, increases the critical strike chance of Healing Surge by 30% as well. Not all talent specs have this, but this one does because this is such a good talent to have when you're spot healing people. Like, instead of having to wait 2 seconds to cast a Greater Healing Wave on somebody, you can just pop the talent and then cast a 1.5 second cast or something. It's really good for spot healing, and that about covers this talent.